city of Lagos waits at the dock as all routes.
Be the first to know. From the north, south, east, west and around Africa, we break the news.
One Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are Core TV News.
Welcome to Core TV,
24-hour news station.
It's a great day and you're on to Core TV News. A big thank you to you for joining us again. This is our Ekiti Elect Studio, and we say you're welcome back. Well, it's no longer news that Saturday, June 21st, this 2014, of course, the residents and indigents of Ekiti State came out en masse to elect their leader for the next 4 years, the #1 indigent indeed, in all the 16 local government areas of that state. In all, 18 political parties fielded candidates in that election, and I must say to you that analysts had said that election was basically between three candidates. The incumbent Kayode Fayemi of the All Progressive Congress APC, well, of course, a former governor of that state, Adele Fayose, and a member of the House of Representatives, Michael Okpeyemi Bamidele of the Labour Party. And in all, some 7,941 members of the National Youth Service Corps NYSC were engaged as ad hoc staff to man the polling booths in that state. And of course, altogether, 29 domestic and international election observers were accredited by INEC to observe that election. Some of the international observers were the European Union delegation, the UNDP, the British High Commission, the Canadian High Commission, the United States Mission to Nigeria, and the embassies of Netherlands, Switzerland, Germany, and France. Nigerians had been waiting, especially the indigents and residents of Ekiti State, waiting patiently for the result of that election, which was adjudged very peaceful. And we also heard from our reporters that the electorate actually decided to take their lives in their hands and take responsibility by conducting themselves in a manner that we all were anticipating and looking forward to. You'd recall that the rallies and campaigns in the run-up to that election was quite heated up, so much so that a whole lot of people were anticipating some violence during the election and wondering if it would go peacefully or otherwise. And indeed, we heard that that election went very peacefully in a manner that was quite impressive. We're still holding on for our reporter in that state, Rashid, to feed us with the collation and, of course, the announcement of the result from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, so that we can indeed know who will take the baton of leadership in Ekiti State for the next 4 years. We first make our decision, and then our decision in turn makes us. The people of Ekiti State, Saturday 21st June, came out to make that decision. And that decision, that big decision, I must say, and that big decision is going to make the people of Ekiti State for the next 4 years, every day of the 4 years. Rashid is joining me on the show from Ekiti State to lead us into the collation and the announcement of the result. Hi, Rashid.
Yeah, good morning there, Tolu.
Hi, Rashid. How are you doing?
The electoral process which started in Ekiti State is actually getting to its peak, and we are actually at the INEC headquarters in Ekiti,
Okay.
where the electoral officers are gathered to present the result of each local government. And as we speak, the returning officer from local government have actually presented the result, where we have total registered voters of 32,838 government where the returning officer is actually reeling out the result of that local government. So far, the election has been peaceful and short of some hitches which was experienced here due to the rain that is even falling currently, as you can see on the screen. But for now, everything is going on peaceful, and all 16 returning officers are ready here to turn in their results as it was polled in their respective local government. We'll keep you posted as more results are announced.
Okay. Hi, Rashid. Are you still there? Hello, Rashid. Rashid. Oh, okay. I'm hoping that Rashid will keep us updated with more results as they unfold. We know that the umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), being the election management board in Nigeria, has the final say over the results of any election in Nigeria, and we're hoping that very soon we get to hear the results of some other local governments and, of course, the final result. As you can see on your screen, we can see the election officials from INEC making their announcement on the election. And yes, as you can see from Ekiti State. Well, that was Rashid. Rashid, a big thank you to you, Rashid. We're hoping that you join us again. I had a few questions to ask Rashid there about the election generally. We want to know how it was peaceful. Then we also needed to know how much apathy was experienced in that election, and how the electorate actually sat around to monitor their votes to ensure that the votes did count indeed. You know, it's been said that the price of democracy is eternal vigilance. The price of democracy is eternal vigilance. And I say that my version of that saying is what's popular in the part of the country where I come from, that a cocoa seller and his cocoa have to be sun-dried together, meaning you have to sit and watch. You have to sit and ensure that whatever you're going to be responsible for works. At the end of the day, you have no right to complain about anything that you permitted in the first place. So, if the price of democracy is eternal vigilance, then there's no place for apathy. You cannot say it's not my business. You cannot say whether or not it works, I'm not concerned. You cannot say, well, politics is a dirty game, I do not want to be part of it. You cannot say, well, they didn't perform well in the last 4 years, so I'm not going to give any of them my vote because whatever they do in the next 4 years, I still cannot be impressed. You cannot say that. You know, if indeed the price of democracy is eternal vigilance. If the price of democracy is eternal vigilance, you want to take responsibility, you want to take charge, okay? You want to be in a position to have a say, you want your vote to count. And that way, you do not just want to vote, you want to also watch over your vote like a little child, because indeed that is what it is, until you begin to see the dividends of democracy. We had a number of political analysts in our Ekiti Elect studio in the course of that election. And if you watched Bola Oba, the last political analyst we had, now some of the submissions of Bola Oba were that the activities of political parties in the run-up to the election would significantly affect the party's performances at the poll. So that means what goes around comes around. It's garbage in, is garbage out. It's whatever you put into the system as a political office aspirant. That is exactly what you're going to get out of it. Or it's whatever you did for the masses or to them that would come back to affect you during the examination, which is the election period. The activities of political parties in the run-up to the election will significantly affect the party's performances at the poll. So it does not matter what happened in the year 2000. It doesn't matter much, again, what happened in 2011 or 2012 or 2013. What happened in the few weeks of the first month of 2014, what happened in the second month of 2014, the third month, fourth month, and especially the last few weeks to the election are the variables that will form the opinion of the electorate in deciding whom they want to stay with, whom they want to give the baton of leadership to lead them for the next 4 years. Now, even in the West, I heard Balaba saying we're living in an era where politics is becoming almost totally devoid of ideological convictions. So the little wonder defection saga and redefection saga, as someone called it a while ago. It's important to know that we expect politicians and our leaders in general in Nigeria to lead with ideologies and by principles. That's quite important. At the end of the day, you cannot just do things without proper argument for them, without proper reasoning. You want to have a guiding principle for yourself first, and then for the people you lead. At the end of the day, a leader without a vision is only having a mirage. A leader without the ability to carry the people along is only having a stroll. You're only having a walk. At the end of the day, it's important to know that you cannot get anywhere without a compass. You cannot get anywhere without a positive direction. You need a blueprint to arrive at any destination. And there's no way, I say again, there's no way you can take the people to somewhere that you haven't been yourself. That's why ideology is all important, very important. Now, Bonaba said even in the West, that means this is not limited to Nigeria or Ekiti State or any part of Nigeria. We're living in an era where politics is becoming almost totally devoid of ideological convictions. So our ideals, the ideals that should form political standpoints, the ideals that should form political aspirations and ambitions are almost getting totally lost. That's what the gentleman meant. And that's important for us to know and remember and take into consideration anytime we have an opportunity to choose or elect our leaders in any part of Nigeria. That's quite important, and all over Africa. So we shouldn't bother about defections and redefections again and again and again. We should know the reason for that. It's because our politicians are becoming less and less ideological. In any case, we'll still have a handful, and that's where I need you to have a positive mental attitude, a mental picture of what Nigeria should be and the type of leaders that we need to have in Nigeria. Well, we will still have a handful that will maintain positive ideologies and that will lead with principle-centered living and leading is what we're talking about here. So I'll leave the rest to INEC, the umpire, the Election Management Board in Nigeria, to decide whom to give the baton of leadership to in Ekiti State. As I said earlier, we first make our decisions, and then our decisions in turn make us. We make them first. This is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. This is where I want to go. This is how I want to make it. This is what I want to make of it. And then those decisions in turn make us that decide what we become. The people and residents of Ekiti State, Saturday to the 1st June 2014, came out to make that big decision. And that big decision, I tell you, will in turn make the people and residents of Ekiti State every day for the next 4 years. Where will the baton swing? Where will it swing? Is it going to be the incumbent candidate Fayemi of the All Progressives Congress? We don't know. Is it going to be Ayodele Fayose, a former governor of the state of the People's Democratic Party? We don't know. Or is it going to be Mark Wakweyemi Bamidele of the Labour Party? We don't know. Again, Rashid is right here with me to give us more information about the coalition and of course, the announcement. Hi, Rashid.
Go on, Rashid.
Yes, sir. Well, in the meantime, out of the 16 local governments, we are having 3 local governments already announced by the coalition officers. We thought we made out of F4, and the next was that of Emure local government. That was the local government of the deputy governorship candidate of the Labour Party. But it was quite unfortunate that the Labour Party was unable to muster up much votes over there, just as much as less than 400 votes. The APC polled 4,362 in Emure local government, while the PDP had 7,086 votes. Part of the local government of the incumbent governor, Kayode Fayemi, that is Oye local government area, where we have a total number of registered voters of 45,918. The APC in Oye local government polled 10,176 votes, while the PDP in Oye local government, that is the stronghold of Governor Kayode Fayemi and former Senator Ayo Arishe of the PDP. The PDP in Oye local government polled 11,200 votes, meaning that the PDP even had higher votes than that of the APC in Oye local government area, which happens to be the stronghold of the incumbent governor, Kayode Fayemi. Those are the 3 results released so far, and we expect other coalition officers to come on board and release and say the results from their respective local governments. That is what we can offer for now.
Okay, thank you very much, Rashid. Are you still there? Hello, Rashid.
Yeah.
Now, let me just quickly ask you, how was the weather anyway in Ekiti State on Saturday?
What?
How was the weather?
Yeah, it was sunny. It was sunny. It was peaceful. The weather was serene. It was okay for everybody to go by and discharge his or her civic responsibility. Just tonight we had a rainfall, and that culminated into starting the collation of the results late enough, which is just starting at this time. The peaceful nature of the election, the way it was conducted peacefully, made the results come in earlier, you know, where there is no rigging, no violence, everything went on peacefully, people voted, the votes were counted, and thereabouts transported from each registration area to the local government, from local government down to the state headquarters here of INEC here. So the whole weather was good. It was okay for everybody to go about discharging his or her civic responsibility of voting for the candidates of their choice.
Lastly, before I let you go, Rashid, sorry for taking your time, what about the arrival of election materials? How early or late were they delivered?
Hello?
Hello, Rashid.
Yeah.
In the places you monitored, how about the arrival of election materials? How early or late were they delivered? Oh, okay, we lost that call there, okay. Well, I was going to find out 2 things from Rashid. The weather, which would be a major determinant of the turnout, because if it was a rather rainy day, then a lot of the electorate might have a reason to say they would not want to vote, you know. Oh, I would like to vote, but see, well, I'm not mobile, and it's raining, I do not want to get drenched and all that. Well, some would have a reason, you know, even though I do not think the heavy rain should stop a major decision, a decision that will affect your fulfillment and destiny for the next 4 years. That's quite important. A decision that will affect generations yet unborn. Well, the weather was quite clement, according to Rashid. Only later in the day did it rain, and that was much later anyway, after the voting. And of course, I needed to find out about the arrival of election materials. How early or late were they delivered? Because again, that too can go a long way. If it was delivered rather too late, it can go a long way to discourage the electorate and encourage more voter apathy. So I needed to find out about that as well. So out of all the 16 local government areas in Ekiti State, only 3 results have been released by INEC. Okay, we're waiting for 13 more. If you take 3 out of 16, obviously you have 13 left. And I'm very sure that Rashid will get back to us on other collations and announcements so we can know where Ekiti State is heading in the next 4 years. Some 732,106 voters were expected to vote in today's election. The gender distribution showed that females were 371,419, the vast 51%, and males 360,747, 49%. There are 2,195 polling units and 2,803 voting points in that southwest state. Ekiti State has 3 senatorial districts, 6 federal constituencies, and 177 registration areas spreading across those 16 local government areas in that state. Well, in taking decision that yesterday, on whom to cast their votes for, well, the voters may likely be influenced. They might have been influenced by incumbency factor and the performance of the APC candidates, or the grassroots mobilization skills of the PDP candidate and the courage of the Labour Party candidate. You see, they all had what was going for them. The All Progressive Congress candidate had what was going for him. And of course, that was his incumbency. His incumbency, and of course, his performance in the last 4 years. And of course, the PDP candidate too, Dele Fayose, had what was going for him, which was, as some people will say, the federal might, the federal presence and support, the moral support, and of course, the grassroots mobilization skills. You can't take that away from the People's Democratic Party, PDP. You know what I'm talking about. And of course, what about the courage of the Labour Party to say, despite incumbency, despite grassroots mobilization skill, I can take on the baton. I can actually confront you. I can actually get on the platform with you and contest with you, and I feel like I wrestle power from you. What about that courage? How many people? I think that's one leadership quality that we need in Nigeria today. I think that's one leadership quality that everybody should imbibe. The can-do spirit, the indomitable spirit. It doesn't matter what you have going for you. I have something going for me as well. It doesn't matter what you feel you have or what you think you can do. I respect you for that. But again, I do not think I'm meant for the ground either. I know I can do this. What about that can do spirit? That courage. It takes courage to actually confront an incumbency. And of course, the federal might. What about that courage? So, since Nigeria's return to civil rule in 1999, no governor of Ekiti State has been elected for a second term. This might affect the chances of the incumbent. You would say, well, we don't know. We don't know. We cannot judge. And what about the corruption case hanging on the neck of the PDP candidate? That, you want to say, that can also be a determining factor? We don't know either. We don't know. Because at the end of the day, the people will have the final say. The people will have their way and they will have their say. So it does not matter what we think. What matters is where the electorate decide to swing at the end of the day. Are they going to swing hither or thither? Are they going to swing hither or thither? It depends on where they decide to swing. And that's why we are here, to wait patiently too the result of that very peaceful, free and fair, you want to say, election according to reports reaching us anyway. And that's quite important. Now, another thing I need to talk about right away as we await the further announcement of the election result from INEC, as we are led by our reporter in Ekiti State, Rashid. Now, as winning attitude and losing attitude in Nigeria, at the end of the day, it's important for us to remember that once a political party gets the mandate in Nigeria, the opposition resumes duty as well. And I will tell you the duty of the opposition. The duty of the opposition, among many others, is to put the ruling party in checks and balances. That's quite important. The job of the opposition, amongst others, is to always call the ruling party to order. Always put the ruling party in proper check. And here we're talking about constructive criticism. Now, it's popular that in Nigeria, when a political party gets the mandate, the opposition immediately goes into hiding to that tent, return, O Israel. No, it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be. The opposition should also resume duty immediately. And that duty as checks and balances, calling the ruling party to order, making constructive criticism. But all those functions are going to be affected if the opposition does not know how to lose positively. I call it losing positively, meaning it's important for you to know how to take defeat in your strides, how to take defeat, losing with positive attitude. Because at the end of the day, there will always be another time. There will always be another time. So losing a particular election is not the end of the world. Losing a particular election is not the end of your political party. Losing a particular election is not the end of your leadership ambition. Losing a particular election is not the end of your principles and ideologies. You do not quickly defect from your political party just because you lost an election. You do not throw away your principle-centered leadership skills just because you lost an election. You do not throw away your ideologies just because you lost an election. So we want to see an opposition in Nigeria that will be the first, like in the West, to congratulate the winning party. That makes everybody a winner. At the end of the day, winning is not just an activity, it's an attitude. It's the attitude that you adopt that will tell us whether you're the type of leader that we want to have in Nigeria or otherwise. So we want to see a political party, an opposition in Nigeria, that will be the first to congratulate the winning party. We want to see an opposition in Nigeria that will understand that once a political party gets the mandate, it too should resume duty immediately. We want to see that political party, that opposition in Nigeria, that will resume duty immediately the ruling party or the winning party gets the mandate. We want to see an opposition that will know how to positively challenge and criticize the ruling party in Nigeria. We want to see an opposition in Nigeria that will understand how to put the ruling party in checks and balances. That is what the people of Nigeria want. And I guess I'm speaking for the people of Ekiti State as well. That is what we want to see in this jostle for the government house. That exactly is what we want to see. Now, that's about losing an election positively and, of course, the role of opposition after the election. Now, something that's so shocking as the heated campaign in the run-up to the Ekiti election and the apparently peaceful outing on Saturday. With the heated debates, the heated campaigns, the heated rallies and activities, electioneering activities that ushered in the Ekiti 2014 election, you would have expected a very gory outing on Saturday. You would have expected a very rough outing on Saturday. You would have expected an outing marred by apathy, voter apathy on Saturday. But contrary to widespread expectations, it was rather peaceful. And so you're beginning to see a society in Nigeria that's emerging, one that is conscious, one that is conscious of the political goings on around it. We're beginning to see a society in Nigeria that's evolving, one that's conscious also of the importance of the sanity and the sanctity of lives and properties. We're beginning to see a society in Nigeria that's emerging, that's beginning to take responsibility for leadership, because that means the electorate are also beginning to take responsibility for leadership. And that's quite important and impressive, because they're beginning to realize that whatever happens at the polls is a shared responsibility. You cannot say it because a particular party, a political party, brought in thugs. That was why the election wasn't peaceful. You cannot say it was because, well, the election materials did not arrive on time and you were running out of patience. That was why you started burning tires or you started becoming fidgety. You cannot say because the election materials were coming too late in the day and you're beginning to lose faith in the election processes, that was why you returned home. Or that was why you got frustrated or angered, irritated, and you picked up a fight with a member of the public or a security agent or personnel. You cannot say that. So we're beginning to see an electorate in Nigeria that's becoming more and more responsible for leadership by the day. We're still waiting for Rashid, our reporter in Ekiti State, who is at the collection center, to bring us the report of more results as announced by the EMB in Nigeria, the Election Management Board in Nigeria, which is INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission. And of course, another thing I would like to also talk about is the security presence at the election on Saturday. It was massive. It was massive. It was massive. And again, I'm beginning to, I wasn't in Ekiti on Saturday, but with the reports we got, I'm beginning to also imagine a situation where the massive presence of security personnel in an election will look like just formality. Formality, because at the end of the day, the electorate did conduct themselves in a manner that was quite becoming, in a very impressive manner. So the security presence was only there for formality. At the end of the day, there was no one to arrest, there was no one to scold, there was no one to embarrass or harass by the security personnel like we used to have it in previous elections in Nigeria. And I'm beginning to raise my hopes about 2015 because that is what comes to mind immediately, looking at how the 2014 election in Ekiti State has played out in the last 24 hours or more. I'm beginning to raise my hopes about 2015 elections. I'm beginning to get even more positive about that outing in 20. I cannot wait. Let me just confess to you. I cannot wait to see 2015. Who says Nigeria in 2015 would not emerge victorious? Who says the elections and the general elections in 2015 will not be so peaceful, even more peaceful than what we had in Ekiti State on Saturday? Who says in 2015 the elections will not be free and fair, even fair and fairer than what we had in 1993 or 2011? Who says? Who says? So I'm beginning to get excited about the political goings on and development and emergence and involvement in Nigeria. I'm beginning to get excited about the political corridors in Nigeria. I'm beginning to get excited about the political environment in Nigeria. And my hopes are skyrocketing, anticipating 2015 and what that year holds for the big decision in Nigeria. I'm beginning to see a 2015 that will usher Nigeria into our future, the future that our generations yet unborn will indeed experience, live in, and enjoy and get excited about. I'm beginning to raise my hopes. And of course, another area I quickly want to look at. Now, the 7,941 members of the National Youth Service Corps NYSC that were engaged as ad hoc staff to man the polling booths also had a course on Saturday. That came to them like attending a course. It came to them like a re-education, reawakening. These are fresh graduates just from the universities and polytechnics, and it's important to know that they're witnessing firsthand election monitoring, and that for me is something to cherish, because they're being exposed to the political goings on in Nigeria, and it was a positive one. That was a positive experience for them. Apart from the financial gains for them, apart from that, it's important to know that they are being indoctrinated, I must say, into the political arena in a very positive fashion, because that is an experience for them to take home with them. That is an experience to cherish. That is an experience to relive and remember for the rest of their lives. And that too will form part of their informal education. That will form part of their training with which they will face the future. That will form part of the experience with which they will also relate to the members of the public. And of course, what if one day, because these are our leaders in the nearest tomorrow, in the nearest tomorrow. Yes, so at the end of the day, that experience for them is something to translate to leadership. That experience they had by manning the polling booths on Saturday, 21st of June, will not leave them for the rest of their lives. And that is what they will build themselves with. That is what they will live by. And that is what they will lead as well by in the coming years, when they have the opportunity to mount the platform of leadership in Nigeria. And that is so important for them. And I need to note that that is something to get really excited about. That is something to get really joyful about. That is something we can throw our hands in the air and celebrate, that we are beginning to indoctrinate and induct our young and promising leaders in Nigeria, the young stars in Nigeria. We're beginning to indoctrinate them and induct them positively for leadership. We're beginning to prepare them. That was a major preparation for our youth yesterday, talking about the involvement of the NYSC, the National Youth Service Corps members, as ad hoc staff in monitoring and manning the polling booths. Now, again, another thing I would like to also talk about is the international observers in that election, the international observers. But then, before I go to that, now it's important also to remind you about accepting mistakes and defeat as a natural process of growing in wisdom. At the end of the day, we live in an environment, we live in a community where mistakes are not particularly allowed, where mistakes are always frowned at. But I wonder, because we learn by mistakes. We learn by mistakes. Someone says, whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. Well, that is if you know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing badly until you get it right. That's my stance. Whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well if you know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, it is worth doing badly until you get it right. So it's important to know how to accept mistakes and defeat as a natural process, because that's how we learn anyway, of growing in wisdom. No one is perfect. You can really learn from your mistakes, you know. Yeah, you can. And that's how to avoid those mistakes in future. Well, my boss will usually say if you make a mistake once, it's a mistake. But if you make a mistake, the same mistake again, then it's no longer a mistake. He would even say that means you're wicked. That means you're doing it deliberately. That's what my chairman is fond of saying. He'll tell you, if you make a mistake once, yes, it's a mistake, it's allowed. But if you make the same mistake a second time, it's no longer a mistake. You're wicked. You're doing it deliberately now. And I also remember, okay. Now that's for you to hold. That's for you to hold. So accept mistakes and defeat as a natural process of growing in wisdom, because no one is perfect. You can really learn from your mistakes. So count your losses and move on. That's how to lose. You just count your losses. That's how to fail forward. You can actually fail backward, or you can fail forward. You're failing backward if you're so resentful of the winner. If you so much hate the winner and you so much hate the process that gave you the defeat, so much so that you do not want to progress, so much so that you do not want to move on, so much so that you do not want to continue in that process, so much so that you do not want to give it another trial, another day. That's feeling backwards. But you're feeling forwards actually when you accept defeat gallantly, magnanimously. That's quite important for you. You count your losses and then you just move on. You just move on. You see where you did badly. Where did I do badly? What did I do wrong? What did I say wrong in the run-up to that election? How did I perform in the last time I had an opportunity to serve the people? Because at the end of the day, that's the kind of leadership we want to see in Nigeria, servant leadership. The kind of leadership that will understand that leadership is about service. Leadership is about servanthood. You're serving the masses. You're serving the public. You're serving the electorate. You're serving the people. And there's going to be a day of reckoning, whether you like it or not. There's going to be a day of reckoning. That day of reckoning is your day of examination. And that examination date is election day. Quite important to remember. So, having said that, I was going to broach the issue of the election observers. In all, 29 domestic and international election observers were accredited by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to observe that election on Saturday in Ekiti State. And I'll tell you, some of those international observers were the UNDP, the European Union delegation, the British High Commission, the Canadian High Commission, the United States Mission to Nigeria, then the embassies of Netherlands, Switzerland, Germany, and France. Now, I'm so excited because with the run-up to that election, you would have thought Nigeria was about blowing it to the international community. You would have thought Nigeria was going to make a public disgrace of itself in that election to the international community. You would have thought the international community will come back after the election to say Nigeria, and in particular the people of Ekiti State, bungled that election. But I'm so excited because we're beginning to whitewash, we're beginning to launder, and positively so, our image in the international community, in the global community. We're beginning to tell the whole world that Nigeria is a country to watch. We're beginning to tell the whole world that indeed Nigeria has come of age. We're beginning to tell the whole world that indeed Nigeria is responsible. We're beginning to tell the whole world that indeed Nigeria has learned from our mistakes and we're ready to count the losses and move on. We're beginning to tell the whole world that yes, we can. We're beginning to tell the whole world that we do not need to be white to be wise. We're beginning to tell the whole world that it does not need to be white to be right. We're beginning to tell the whole world that we can manage our system, we can manage our country, we can run our country. We can determine our future. We can determine our destiny. We're beginning to tell the whole world that. And I'm waiting for the comment in the coming days, weeks, and months. I'm waiting for the comment of those international observers in particular. I'm waiting. I can't wait to hear from them what they think of the election in Ekiti State on Saturday. Because at the end of the day, we did this. I must say, we all did this. It's a collective responsibility. It's a shared responsibility. This is not the time to pass the buck. This is not the time to say, well, the little skirmishes at the end of the day, because no system is perfect, no process is perfect. Everything is just evolving. Everything is in the process of development. Everything is developing. Nothing is in its full state of development yet. Nothing and no one. So the little skirmishes that we had in that election on Saturday, we're beginning to say, okay, yes, we've learned from them. We've come of age. Now we can manage those skirmishes better in the next elections, and we can actually, as a nation, we can make ourselves formidable in the eye of the international community. And that's so important to me. We're still waiting for Rashid. And of course, this is our Ekiti Elect Studio. We're reaching you live from Lagos, the Center of Excellence, Nigeria's commercial capital, Court TV News. If you've got feedbacks, you can reach us on any of our social media platforms. Our identity on Facebook is facebook.com/Court TV News. If you have messages for us, we got quite a number of those messages on Facebook on Saturday. Yes, facebook.com/Court TV News is our identity on Facebook. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's important to know that our handle is @Court TV News NG. That's our handle on Twitter, @Court TV News NG. Yes, you can still watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/Court TV. Then you leave a space, news. youtube.com/Court TV. You leave a space, news. That's how to get to us, to watch us on YouTube. But again, on Twitter, our handle is @Court TV News NG. On Facebook, facebook.com/Court TV News. Well, if you want to ring us up, you can ring us. The direct studio line is 016-310-328, 016-310-328. Governorship poll, the jostle for Government House 2014, Ekiti elects. And of course, we're still waiting for the final collation and announcement as will be brought to us through our reporter in Ekiti State, Rashid, as announced, as collated and announced by INEC officials who are the umpire, the Election Management Board in Nigeria. And again, something back to Gbalauba, last analyst on Saturday, talking about being gracious in Nigeria. It's important for us to know that but the winner and the loser should learn to be gracious. Nigerians need to learn how to be gracious to one another and, of course, to outsiders as well. It's so important. We should be gracious. Being gracious is all about taking charity from home. Charity begins at home. Rashid is right here again. Hi, Rashid. Are you there, Rashid?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead. What do you have for us?
Yes, the results are trickling in. Out of 16 local governments, we succeeded in having like 8 now.
Okay.
And running through 8 so quick, in the major local government area, the incumbent HEC polled 3,336 votes, while the PDP polled 3,670. In the Kenya local government, which happens to be the second largest city in Ekiti State and the second city having the highest votes in Ekiti State.
Yeah.
Having in mind that the PDP candidate picked his deputy from Ikere, which can be cited as one of those things that make him have a victory in the Ikere local government.
Yeah.
Out of the registered voters of 45,611 and accredited voters of 26,424, the APC polled 7,989, while the PDP had a swooping vote of 16,197. That is in the Ikere local government.
Okay.
In the Ikore local government area, where we have 25 autonomous communities, in the Ekiti State, in the Ikore local government area, the Labour Party was able to muster up some votes of about 1,259, while the APC had 8,804 votes, but the PDP also came in a strong note in this local government, polling 14,238 votes. That's in the Ikore local government.
Okay.
And there was some cases of cancellation of votes based on some electoral irregularities, as it was reported by the electoral, the collection officer, that in Oduaye-Dunayebode registration area, that this particular man was given his voting material, that is his ballot paper to cast.
Okay.
As he approached the cubicle, he snatched the ballot box and started running away. And in the process,
Imagine.
he started tearing the already voted material, which made the electoral officer to cancel the votes from that area. But in that area, which is the registration area in the local government, PDP polled 14,238. Another area of interest is Ekiti Southwest. Ekiti Southwest is having its local government, the local government headquarters in Ilawe, and the chief of staff to the incumbent, that is Yemi Agaramodu, hailed from Ilawe. In that Ekiti Southwest local government area, we have Nigeria Ekiti, which happens to be the hometown of the chairman of APC, High Chief Jide Awe. In Ekiti Southwest, the APC was able to poll 6,746. But even having these strong men in that local government could not help them in the PTP having higher votes of 11,038 votes in Ekiti Southwest local government. That is what we still have now, as more results are to be released now, and which will be relayed to you, as you can even see on the screen.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rashid. So you please keep us posted, and updated
Right.
with more
Thank
results. In all, now Rashid just told us that out of the 16 local government areas in Ekiti State, results have been collated and announced in 8, leaving us with only 8. Now, Rashid just told us about Ikere, a local government, and Ikole, and of course, without leaving behind Ekiti Southwest in Ilawe. Now, that's quite important. Now, so we're waiting for just 8 more, 8 local government areas more. Keep us updated. We're still waiting for Rashid to call us yet again for more results. Well, you can keep sending the messages as well from Facebook. Facebook.com/Court TV News is our identity on Facebook. Facebook.com/Court TV News. That's our identity on Facebook. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, our handle is @Court TV News NG. @Court TV News NG. That's our handle on Twitter, @Court TV News NG. @Court TV News NG. And you can watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/Court TV News. youtube.com/Court TV News. And then you leave a space, youtube.com/Court TV, leave a space, type news. Yeah, on YouTube, youtube.com/Court TV. You now leave a space before you type news. That's how to get us on YouTube. So on those 3 social media platforms, you can reach us: Facebook, Twitter, and you can also view us on YouTube. Very important. Now, if you want to call into the studio on any of our live programs, the studio line is 016 310-328, 016-310-328. And let me quickly also remind you, before Rashid gets back to us, let me quickly also remind you that out of the total 732,106 voters expected to vote in that election on Saturday, the vast majority were females, and that took some 51%, 371,419, as you can see on your screen, 371,419, some vast 51% there, where males were 360,747, 49%, 360,747, that's 49% for you. And of course, as you can see on your screen, 2014 Ekiti elect, the number of polling units were 2,195. 2,195. Well, 2014 Ekiti elect, the breakdown of polling units. We've got a number: Ijero 135, Moba 112, Idosi 139, Record doing fellow do 160, Oye 190, Ikole 182, Ekiti East 95, Moi 103, Ado 207, Ikere 86, Ekiti Southwest 188, Ishauru 108, and all that. Now, it's important also to remember the number of voting points were 2,803. The number of voting points were 2,803. So these are some of the information that we think would be very useful for you. Now, the local government areas of major contenders. The Labour Party, Irekpodun, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Ifelodun, the All Progressives Congress, APC, Oye, and of course, we'll also have the Accord Party in Ado. So these are some of the breakdowns we needed to give you. Now, the number of state assembly constituencies, the number of state assembly constituencies, you can also see that on your screen. Yes, we're trying to project these information for you on your screen so that you can access them very easily. Okay, the number of state assembly constituencies: APC 25, PDP 1. Now altogether 26. Number of state assembly constituencies, total number 26. APC, All Progressive Congress, having 25, while the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is having 1. Now, number of police officers deployed: altogether 12,000 police officers were deployed to Ekiti State. Altogether, a total number of 12,000 police officers were deployed to man that election in Ekiti State on Saturday. And that was something. That the number of accredited observers, domestic and international, I told you, 29, total number of 29 accredited observers, domestic and international accredited observers, were 29 in that election. And out of those 29 accredited observers, domestic and international, we have, of course, the UNDP. We also have the European Union delegation. We have the British High Commission. We have the Canadian High Commission. We have the United States mission to Nigeria. We also have the embassies of Netherlands, Switzerland, Germany, and France. And that's something. And I'm so excited with the impression we're making to the international observers in Nigeria. Now, accredited observers, domestic and international. Now, I just gave you some. Well, we've got Research Initiative for Sustainable Development and Gender Awareness. We've got Justice Development and Peace Commission, JDPC, the Forum of State Independent Electoral Commission of Nigeria. We've got the Women the Rise for Change Initiative. We've got of course, the EU delegation. We've got the International Foundation for Electoral System, IFES. We've got the yes, the embassies. Those are the international observers, as I told you. Now, the leader of the Research Initiative for Sustainable Development and Gender Awareness is Togba Yinse. Togba Yinse. The leader for the Justice, Development and Peace Commission is Reverend Father Everestus Bassi, as you can see on your screen. We want to project that to your screen so that you can access it very clearly. Yes, the leader for Women Arise for Change Initiative is Dr. Joe K. Odumaki. And we also have International Foundation for Electoral Systems. The leader is Obaje Uke. Obaje Uke. United States Mission to Nigeria, the leader of that is Brank Bayer. Brank Bayer. Brank Bayer is the leader of the United States Mission to Nigeria. The leader of the High Commission of Canada, the Canadian High Commissioner, is Attorney Lambert. Attorney Lambert. These are the leaders of the accredited domestic and international organizations that were accredited by INEC to observe that election in Ekiti State. Altogether, there are 16 local government areas, I told you earlier, in Ekiti State, and we're also trying to project that on your screen. But at the moment, you can still see the election officials, the INEC officials, the election monitoring officials working very tightly to ensure that all things go well, to ensure that the results are collated and announced as appropriate, as you can see on your screen. Now, in the meantime, 2014 Ekiti elect 16 local government areas altogether. We're also trying to put that on the screen for you. We have Moba, we have Ijero, Idosi, we have Oye, Ikole, we have F4, Ekiti West, we have Irekpodun, Ifelodun, we have Ekiti Southwest, we have Ado, we have Bonyi, we have Ikole, we have Ekiti East, we have Ikere, we have Isanru, we have Emore. These are the 16 local government areas in that state. Now, the Ekiti North 1, Ekiti North South is now talking about the federal constituencies. Talking about the federal constituencies, again, we want to project that very boldly on your screen so that you can access it very clearly. The federal constituencies: Ekiti North 1, Ekiti North 2, Ekiti Central 1, Ekiti Central 2, Ekiti South 1, Ekiti South 2, making 6 federal constituencies altogether. Ekiti North 1, Ekiti North 2, Ekiti Central 1, Ekiti Central 2, Ekiti South 1, Ekiti South 2. Now, senatorial districts in Ekiti State. Senatorial district, 3 senatorial districts altogether. Ekiti North Senatorial District, Ekiti Central Senatorial District, Ekiti South Senatorial District. 3 senatorial districts altogether in Ekiti State. Ekiti North Senatorial District, Ekiti Central Senatorial District, Ekiti South Senatorial District. The number of registration areas, that's talking about wards. The wards, 177 altogether. We've got 177 registration areas, that's wards, in Ekiti State. And then let's break down the wards now. The breakdown of the wards, we've got in Moba 11 wards in Moba. In Ilejemeje 10 wards. In Ijero, we've got 12 wards. In Idosi, 11 wards. In Oye, we've got 12 wards. Ikole, we've got 12 wards in F4, 10 wards altogether. In Ekiti West, 11 wards. In Ekiti Southwest, again, 11 wards. In Irepo Do Ifelodo, 11 wards. In Ado, 13 wards. In Ikere, 11 words. In Isoru, 10 words. In Emure, 10 words. In Goi, again, 10 words. Now, what about the number of valid registered voters in Ekiti State anyway? Because we couldn't be talking about voting or the electorate without valid, not just registered voters, but valid registered voters. 732,166 valid registered voters had the right on Saturday to exercise their franchise. A total number of 732,166 registered voters were valid to exercise their franchise on Saturday in Ekiti State. And of course, breakdown again of the valid registered voters. In Moba, 40,570 registered voters were valid to exercise their franchise in Moba on Saturday. In Ilejemeje, 11,796 registered voters were valid to exercise their franchise. In Oye, 45,918 registered voters were valid to exercise their franchise yesterday. Now, in Ikoli, 49,274 registered voters were valid to exercise their franchise. In Nigeria, we had 49,484. In the record, doing fellow doing 54,430. We also want to project that very boldly on your screen. Now, in Ekiti East, 47,293 valid registered voters. In F4, 22,845 valid registered voters. That was in F4. In Ekiti West, 40,856. In Ekiti Southwest, 42,285. In Ikere, 45,747. In Isorun, 35,099. In Emure, 27,091. Where now in Boeing, 42,267. In Ado, 134,141. Ekiti East, 47,293 valid registered voters who had the right to exercise the franchise. Wow. Ekiti elects, 2014 Ekiti elects. Now, let me drop you with this. Try not to become a man of success. Rather, try to become a man of value. Try not to become a man of success. Try to become a man of value. Because these are the things we want to see in our leaders in Nigeria. As we approach 2015, we're not just limiting this to Ekiti State. We need to take this beyond Ekiti. Beyond 2014, we need to take this aura, we need to take this orientation with us into 2015 and beyond. Try not to become a man of success. Do not make success your ambition. Do not make success your goal. Rather, be a man of value, and then success will come looking for you. At the end of the day, all of the things that we want in life, money, fame, recognition, relevance, importance, and all of those other things that we want in life will come looking for us. Happiness, once we can become people of value. Increase your value, and every other thing will increase itself in your favor. Everything moves in the direction of value. Everybody wants to. Value is so attractive. Value is like a magnet, attracting the like to itself. Everybody wants to move close to value, to a man of value, to a substance of value. Everybody wants to feel valuable. Everybody wants to touch value. Everybody wants to feel value. Nobody rejects value. In fact, rejection is a proof of lack of value. Many times, acceptance is a proof of value. Whatever has global acceptance must be an object of value, a substance of value. Nobody rejects value. So if you are a man of value, you're not likely to suffer rejection. Even when you do suffer rejection, you must be suffering rejection in the wrong quarters. That means you do not cast your pearls before the swine. Otherwise, the swine will trample on your pearls and then turn back to devour you yourself. So it's important to know that it's all about value. It's all about value. It's a game of value. Life is a game of value. So we do not want to make success our ambition. We do not want to make success our goal. We do not want to make success our aspiration. Success is not what we are chasing. What we're chasing is value. What we should be chasing is value. Let's chase value, and then success will chase us. Try not to become a man of success, because that is what makes people get desperate and trying to get positions and powers by all means. And that's what makes people look for value by all means, and of course look for power by all means, and of course begin to do the wrong things and then get so desperate. That's so important to know. That's so important to know. You do not, for any reason, want to make success your goal. No, not at all. You do not want to make success your goal. Rather, you want to make value your goal. You want to chase value. Now, we want to place very boldly on your screen the number of registered voters in their senatorial districts. That's what we want to put on your screen right now, very boldly for you to see. I want to very boldly put that for you on your screen to access. 2014 Ekiti elects, number of registered voters. That's very important to put on the screen for you. Very important, as you can see, Ekiti North Senatorial District, Ekiti North Senatorial District, we've got 190,628, as you can see. Then Ekiti Central Senatorial District, we've got 301,756 number of registered voters in that senatorial district. And of course, Ekiti South Senatorial District, 239,782. As you can see on your screen, 239,782 in Ekiti South Senatorial District. Those are the numbers of registered voters in the 3 senatorial districts in Ekiti State. So that's so important for you to get acquainted with, so that you can relate with the things we bring to you on the show from our live studio here, Ekiti Elect Studio. Now, instead of focusing on what made you mad, work on resolving the issue at hand. Because we wouldn't be talking about violence in our elections or with our politicians if these things had been taken into consideration. Instead of focusing on what made you mad the last time, work rather on resolving the issue at hand. Remind yourself that anger or violence won't fix anything. No, anger or violence won't fix anything and might only make it worse. You know, this quickly reminds me of what some people call irresponsible behavior or irrational behavior. You know, at the end of the day, when we ask for the reasons for domestic violence all over the world, 2 reasons people gave for domestic violence all over the world, 2 major reasons. There are a whole number of reasons anyway, but 2 major reasons people gave for domestic violence all over the world. They would say irreconcilable differences and irrational behavior. Irreconcilable differences and irrational behavior. Now, who has never behaved irrationally before? Nobody. You know, sometimes you do something, you take some decisions, and then you begin to ask yourself, how did I ever do that? Why did I take that decision? Why did I angrily take that decision? You tend to, when you're annoyed, when you're angered, really angered, you tend to make permanent decisions in temporary situations, and that will not give you success. When you make a permanent decision in a temporary situation, and that's what happens to you when you engage in violence. And I think this is a lesson that our politicians need to also imbibe. They need to imbibe this lesson. They need to make this a culture. They need to let this form part of their ideology. Very important, very crucial, very important. Instead of focusing on what made you mad, because you rather get even madder and madder. Work rather on resolving the issue at hand. Do not get personal about anything. Let our debates, public discussions, decisions in electoral matters be based on issues and not sentiments, not personal sentiments, but issues. So work on resolving the issue at hand and remind yourself that anger or violence won't fix anything. Anger or violence won't fix anything and might only make it worse. So you want to let this form part of your ideology and philosophy as a politician in Nigeria, as an aspiring public office holder, as a current public office holder, as an emerging leader in Nigeria, as a leader in the making, in any capacity, whatever your area of influence, you want to ensure that you let these lessons, these ideals form part of your ideology and philosophies. You do not want to make success your goal. You do not want to become a man of success, but a man of value. You want to become a man of value. Rashid is joining us again. We're being joined again right away by Rashid. Hi, Rashid, all the way from Ekiti State. What do you have for me this time?
Yeah, so far out of the 16 local governments in Ekiti State, 11 local governments have the results of 11 local governments have been released so far.
Okay.
And the last we had was Ekiti Southwest. Now, in Nigeria, PDP did it again. The APC polled 9,348, while the PDP polled 13,814. That is in Nigeria local government area.
Okay.
And over the time, during the electoral process, an area of interest which people or political pundits even marked as a political flashpoint during the election is the Republic Federal Local Government Area. The Republic Federal Local Government Area is the local government that produces the PDP governorship candidate, Ayofayoshe, the Labour Party governorship candidate, who is from me, that is Operimba Midele, and numbers of aides and commissioners of the incumbents, like Mrs. Eniola Ajayi, the Commissioner for Environment, the SA to the Governor on Internal Security, the Chairman House of Assembly Service Commission, Chief George Ojo. This local government is such an interesting one, having two governorship candidates from that place. But as it is and as it stands, and as has been released by the coalition officer, APC polled 6,834. APC polled 6,834. Labour Party of the Bamidele of the Labour Party, who hails from me, also polled 3,555. 3,555. And of course, the PDP, that is Ayofayoshe, who hails from Afao, in the Republic local government area, polled 13,038. 13,038. That is the Republic local government area. In Ekiti East, what is so spectacular in Ekiti East was that one of the persons known and marked as a strong ally of Ayofayoshe, the PDP candidate, is Honorable Femi Bamishile, the former Speaker of the State House of Assembly. He is known to be a close ally of Ayofayoshe. But during the last mega rally of the APC, Honorable Femi Bamishile actually defected from PDP to the APC, which people thought is going to boost the chances of the APC in Ekiti East local government. But as it stands, APC actually polled 8,584 in Ekiti East, but the PDP also polled 12,498 in Ekiti East.
Okay.
In Moba local government area, where we have Otun as the local government headquarters, APC polled 7,994.
Okay.
APC polled 7,994, while PDP polled 8,878. Beg your pardon?
8,878.
That
Okay.
is 11 local governments so far. The first local government is being called right away, and we're going to put this call. We're going to put it through to you as soon as that gets handy to us.
Okay, thank you very much, Rashid. When you come back, when you get back to us again, I'm going to ask you about voter apathy. Okay? Yes, when you call in again, I'm going to ask you, talk to you about voter apathy. I want to know about voter apathy in Ekiti State.
That now. With the results I've been calling so far, you will see that people actually trooped out.
That is it, yeah.
To exercise their civic responsibility.
Yeah.
Meaning that the voters' apathy was not actually recorded in this electoral process.
Yes.
Contrary to what is being believed by all and sundry
that is it.
of the people, that the heavy presence of security personnel will inhibit people from coming out or tripping out to exercise their civic responsibility by voting for the candidates of their choice.
Yes.
Going by the results we've been calling so far, where a candidate or a political party or either political parties are putting as much as 8,000, 12,000, 13,000 in police in each local government, that is a pointer to the fact that people actually trooped out, irrespective of the heavy presence of military personnel to exercise their responsibility. And this kudos can be given to the security personnel also. So far short of some skirmishes and hitches here and there, of few arrests, few molestations, there has never been a serious case against security personnel. There has never been a case of brutalization, no case of
harassment.
No serious case against the police was ever reported for the military, short of the heavy presence, which normally is now characterizing our electoral process. But in this case, it's actually adding credibility to the electoral process in Ekiti, because law and order was followed to the letter. People were sensitized and they were actually made to do things lawfully, which actually made people to, come out to vote and exercise their civic responsibility. So, in this case, we cannot say that
voter apathy has a say. Now, Rashid.
Yes.
Rashid, now with these results, now talking about the kind of voter apathy that an average Nigerian has, don't you think by now we should stop talking about voter apathy in Nigeria, but start talking about voter responsibility?
Well, it's according to the National Commissioner of INEC, that is Professor Lai Olurode, he made it clear that since 2011 presidential election, INEC has been trying as much as possible to improve on the delivery of a credible, free and fair election in Nigeria. This is another test to what INEC is up to. Now, having it in mind that the Ekiti election is another major election conducted by INEC outside of Anambra election.
That's right.
So when we are talking about election, Ekiti election is standing as a litmus test as to what INEC has in store for Nigerians.
In 2015, especially.
What can be said now is, if this is done now, and this is achieved now, there is every tendency that political apathy in Nigeria will be fading away bit by bit.
That is
it's a culture. It's the kind of thing that was accustomed little by little over time, and it cannot be expunged in a time. It cannot be expunged once
in a day.
Now, the election, the way it went, is now having itself as precedent for subsequent elections to come, where people get to know that even the heavy presence of military personnel, though it should not be encouraged outrightly, but when people have it at the back of their mind and have the faith that the heavy presence of military personnel or security agencies will not deter them or make them not to be able to perform their civic responsibility. By that, the psychology, the thinking of our people will change towards the helpers of this military personnel and security agencies, and get to understand that instead of them being the ones to truncate the growth of democracy through voting system, they will actually strengthen it.
That's right. That's right.
Voting apathy in Nigeria will be reduced, and in years to come, it will reach its barest minimum or even eliminated outright.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Rashid. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll be waiting for you to ring us again and bring us the remaining results. Thank you very much. Rashid just reached us from Ekiti State again, from the collation center, telling us that out of the total 16 local government areas in Ekiti State, results have been collated and announced in 11 out of those 16 local government areas, leaving us with only 5 local government areas in Ekiti State. Yes, so we're awaiting results now in 5 local government areas. So far we've had 11 in the local government areas that you heard Rashid talk about, and of course with the tallying results. And of course I spoke with him about voter apathy, which is gradually fizzing out, shall we say, because the Ekiti elect scenario is a litmus test for voter apathy in Nigeria. And we can see that with the results received so far, with the experience so far, voter apathy didn't have a say in Ekiti State. Not this time, at least. And so we should begin to stop talking about voter apathy, but voter responsibility, because we're beginning to have an electorate that is more aware. We're beginning to have an electorate that's more conscious and that's beginning to take responsibility. If you are so observant, you would have noticed the quality of the conversation that goes on between electorates in Nigeria. You would see that the quality of the conversation that goes on between electorates in Nigeria has changed. It has moved from what it used to be. Now, from your conversation is your advertisement. Each time you have a conversation, you're advertising yourself. So the conversation that goes on between the electorate in Nigeria is an advertisement for the electorate, telling the political office holder and the next political office holder that the electorate in Nigeria is no longer what it used to be. The electorate in Nigeria is no longer the one you give 50 naira or 500 naira or 1,000 naira or 5,000 naira and expect to queue behind you on election day. It doesn't work that way. You will give them that money. If they want, they will take it from you, and then they will still go and vote whoever they want to vote. That is the type of electorate that we're beginning to have in Nigeria. INEC and the National Orientation Agency and are working so hard to ensure that this comes to fruition, that we have a more enlightened electorate in Nigeria, that we have a more responsible electorate in Nigeria, that we have a more educated electorate in Nigeria. Voter education is going on day by day. Voter reorientation is going on day by day in Nigeria. Voter sensitization is going on day by day in Nigeria. And these will culminate into giving us an electorate of our dream in Nigeria. One that's aware of his rights and privileges under the law. One that is aware of his constitutional obligations and is ready to fulfill them. One that is aware of his franchise and will not trade it for anything. One that is conscious of her generations unborn, the posterity, and is ready to protect the posterity and not sell out cheap. Not for 1,000 naira, not for 2,000 naira, not for 5,000 naira, not for 10,000 naira, not for a cup of rice or any type of grain for that matter, not for a bag of rice or beans or a tuber of yam. No, we're beginning to have a more enlightened electorate in Nigeria. And I'm so particularly excited about the turnout, about the outing in Ekiti State. on Saturday. And of course, that is a pointer to what INEC has in stock for us in 2015. And so the future really looks bright in the political arena and otherwise in Nigeria. The future really looks bright. And I'm beginning to feel that I couldn't have been around at any other time. I'm beginning to feel that I'm alive in Nigeria. I'm around in Nigeria at the best time ever. I'm beginning, the Ekiti experience has proven to me indeed that Nigeria is a nation to be proud of. Now I can beat my chest and say, I'm from Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian. I'm from a nation where where voter apathy has been conquered. I'm from a nation where we conduct elections in a free and fair manner. I'm from a nation where we have credible polls. I'm from a nation where we have transparency in our political procedures. I'm from a nation where we have accountability and responsibility in our political and electioneering procedures. That's where I am from, and that is Nigeria. That is Nigeria. Ekiti State has proven that to us, and I know that Osun will do the same. I know that 2015 will do the same, and I know that INEC will repeat that again and again and again and again. Well, I must say, though, that political analysts have been reserving their comments. They've been reserving their commendation for INEC, waiting to see the end result before saying, okay, kudos to Professor Tahiro Jagger again for doing it again. Kudos to INEC for doing it again. And I'm beginning to feel in the next few hours, in the next 2, 3, 5 hours, we'll begin to hear feedback from members of the public to INEC, letting INEC know how it has fared in the last 24 hours or more, letting INEC know what the scorecard looks like for it. And of course, under the watch of the chairman of the Independent International Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Tahiro Jega. So the leadership is taking a new form altogether in Nigeria. If you're not aware, let me just let you know that's what it means. Leadership is taking a new form in Nigeria. Leadership is redressing in Nigeria. Leadership is taking off the old garment and taking on a new one, a new form, sort of, in Nigeria now. Leadership and political leadership, as it were, is no longer what it used to be. It's becoming totally unpredictable. You cannot just sit in your armchair and think you can do some calculations and permutations and combinations and come out with conclusions based on what happened in the past. It cannot do that anymore in Nigeria with what we've seen in the case of Ekiti on Saturday. Yes, we're still waiting for Rashid to bring more results. 5 local government areas more we're expecting before we close shop on the show in our Ekiti Elect studio. From the commercial capital of Nigeria, the city of Lagos. Feedbacks too are welcome on the show. Our identity on Facebook, we have a heavy presence on the social media. We have a heavy presence on the social media, and we keep getting feedbacks day by day, moment after moment. On Facebook, our identity is facebook.com/Core TV News. We want to project that very boldly on your screen for you to access. Facebook.com/Core TV News is our identity on Facebook. Facebook.com/Core TV News. On Twitter, our handle is @Core TV News NG. @Core TV News NG. You can follow us on YouTube. YouTube.com/Core TV. Leave a space news. YouTube.com/Core TV. You leave a space and type news. That's how to reach us and watch us on YouTube. And that is so important. Well, if you want to ring us, the line that gets directly to our live studio is 016-310-328. 016-310-328. Yes, with that number, you can actually reach us live and direct in our studio. 016 310-328. 016-310-328. That is the number that gets you directly to us in our live studio here in Lagos. Yes, so that is so important. Now, when we talk about leadership in Nigeria, especially political leadership, it's quite interesting to know that members of the public in Nigeria, members of the public in Nigeria are becoming tired of the trend. They're becoming fed up with what we used to get from political leadership in Nigeria. And they're beginning to weigh what we have in Nigeria side by side with what we were introduced to by the West, vis-a-vis what currently operates in saner climes, saner we call it, in more developed economies. And then this judgment from the members of the public has over time informed both their choice of words and their thinking pattern. This judgment has informed their thinking pattern and their choice of words, which has also influenced positively or otherwise, and I guess positively, their contribution to public issues and issues of national concern. So, little wonder when they ring us on our shows or when they write us, drop us a line in form of text message or on Facebook or on Twitter. It's a little wonder then what we get from them in form of feedback. Benga Kolisho from Ekiti called in on Saturday to call yesterday doomsday. Benga Kolisho was one of the callers we got on Saturday while we had one of our guests on. And he called yesterday, he called Saturday, the 21st of June, doomsday. He said, well, Ekiti has conquered the doomsday. What people called the doomsday. It was thought to be a doomsday, or it was perceived that it will be a doomsday, but it didn't end up being a doomsday. No, it didn't end up as a doomsday. Not at all. Not at all. It rather ended up as a good day. Not a doomsday, but a good day, you would say. Everything went and I do not blame Benga at all. Benga Kolisho from Ekiti. I do not blame him at all. I do not blame the people who are thought Saturday will be a doomsday for Ekiti State or the people of Ekiti State. Because if you noticed the political undercurrent that played out, the run-up to the election day, you would have thought the same. If you were mindful of the political goings on and gambits that played out in the run-up to that day, you would have also thought it would end up as a doomsday. You would have wondered what was lying in store for Ekiti State and the people of that state. You would have wondered what would become of that election. Questions running through the minds of the electorate. Questions about security, questions about the freedom of the electorate, questions about the obligation of the electorate, questions about the credibility of the contenders, questions about the transparency and the accountability of INEC, questions about the responsibilities and the capabilities of INEC, questions about the impressions of the international community and observers, questions. And all of those questions were answered on Saturday in Ekiti State, and in a positive way too. So it didn't end up as a doomsday, it rather ended up as a good day. Well, we also had Adebayo, who called in from Lagos on Saturday while we had one of our analysts on. Adebayo called in from Lagos here, complaining about our politicians' electioneering activities generally, despite the Chibok girls that are still missing. You know, and that reminds me again of the over 200 Chibok girls that were abducted 14th of April. over 2 months now. Now, none of us is happy about the missing status of the Chibok girls anyway, but then some people are of the opinion that the missing Chibok girls shouldn't abort the democratic process playing out in Ekiti State. They are of the opinion that, well, the Chibok girls are still missing. We're praying that they would be found, and we're working hard to locate the whereabouts of the Chibok girls. But at the same time, we should not stagnate the political development in Nigeria. We should not stagnate the electioneering processes in Nigeria. These are constitutional matters. These are basic, these are very fundamental constitutional matters. As a matter of fact, what if we go by what some political analysts say, that, well, we are in this status quo, we are in this mess because we do not have the appropriate leadership in Nigeria? What if we go by that? And then wouldn't you think, if that stance, if that standpoint is correct, if we're actually in this mess, security-wise, economy-wise, education-wise, development generally, if we are in this mess because we do not have the right leadership in Nigeria, shouldn't we focus less on the mess we are in and then focus more on getting the right leadership? If the question of the Nigerian problem is the leadership question, shouldn't we focus less on other issues and focus more on the leadership question and get the leadership question answered right? Knowing full well that once we can get our acts right and get our leadership question answered, then the lines will fall onto us in Nigeria in pleasant places. I'm of the view, I want to play the devil's advocate now. I'm of the view, like many Nigerians, that if we can get the leadership question answered appropriately in Nigeria, then lives in other sectors of the Nigerian state will fall onto us in pleasant places. If we can get the leadership question right, lines will fall onto us in pleasant places in education. If we can get the leadership question right, lines will fall into us in agriculture. If you can get the leadership question right, lines will fall onto us in pleasant places in commerce and industry. Lines will fall into us in development generally, in science and technology, in health, in trade and investment, in finance. Lines will fall onto Nigeria in pleasant places. I'm of that opinion, like many Nigerians. And I want to say that leadership is not what happens when a political office holder comes and commissions a road project or a water project or an electricity project, or commissions 10 blocks of classroom or a laboratory in a university. No, not at all. Not at all. Leadership begins from the selection process. The leadership decision is a big decision that begins from the selection process, not when they get the mandate or when they begin to perform or do otherwise. No, not at all. The leadership question is going to get answers from selection. From selection. And I dare say everything rises and falls on the leader. Everything rises and falls on leadership. That's why we're saying if we can get the leadership question answered right, then the lines will fall onto Nigeria in pleasant places. It's a new day. It's a great day. It's a brand new day for Nigeria. And I'm waiting to see reaction of the people and residents of Ekiti State when the day breaks. I'm beginning to wait and anticipate the reaction of the masses, the electorate, in knowing that they've both had their say and their way, in knowing that they've both had their say and their way as they've come out en masse, to elect the leader of their choice. I'm beginning to get signals and nudgings to wrap it up. I'm just hoping that we can get more results from Rashid before we close shop today on the show. 2014 Ekiti elects governorship poll, the jostle for government house. 2014 Ekiti elects governorship poll, the jostle for government house. Closely contested election in Ekiti State. And we're waiting, anticipating patiently. Nigerians are patiently anticipating the announcement of the final results by the umpire, the EMB, Election Management Board in Nigeria, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. And of course, that is so important for us to know and get. That is very important, very important. Again, very quickly, you will see on your screen our social media platforms. Our social media platforms, you will see very quickly on your screen. We just roll them on your screen for you to just read very quickly. All right, right away, we'll take a break. And when we come back, we hope to be joined again by Rashid for the remaining 5 local government area results in Ekiti State in the Ekiti Elects 2014 governorship poll. Please stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break.
Core TV News, expanding your view.